Hi, Dave Robbins here. This is The Art of Politics. My co-host and cohort, Ken Gidge. We've got something special for you right now. We have a mystery visitor who's no mystery at all. It's Patricia LaFrance. She's running for county attorney, currently a prosecutor at the county attorney's office. And Patricia, we're very glad to see you. Thank you for coming on.
Oh, thank you for having me.
You know Ken?
Hi, Ken. I do.
Yes, we do.
Good to see you again.
We've met several times. See, we want to make sure you get out there. This is very, very important. We do welcome you. This is an important position. Obviously, you're taking it serious.
I am.
I know you walked in tonight, and one of the first things you said is you just finished a trial.
I did.
And you're waiting for the verdict.
Yep.
And you come here.
Yes.
All right. Well, I'm not sure how we make that up. But having said that, county attorney, trial lawyer, pretty important. What do you think, Dave?
I would think so. Can you tell us what does two things? What does the county attorney do, and a little bit about yourself? How'd you get here? And
I want to know what's your maiden name?
My maiden name is Paquette.
Paquette.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Because LaFrance is I know LaFrance. Paquette's a nice name.
I'm sure it is, but where the heck did that come from?
Well, I wanted to know about her.
All right. Well, if you keep your mouth shut, we would.
One of the reasons is she's got a sense of humor, and that's important, especially in a job like she's doing.
My Lord, yes.
You do have to have a sense of humor, definitely.
But what does the county attorney do, and how have you fit into the county attorney's office? Because I understand you've been there for a number of years.
Right. Well, the county attorney is the top prosecutor in the county. So the office of the county attorney prosecutes all of the felony crimes, most of them, except for murder. Murder is prosecuted by the Attorney General's office. So in our office, we handle everything from burglaries, thefts of over $1,000, aggravated felonious sexual assaults, any major felony crime we handle. Like I said, excluding murder. So, but even we handle manslaughter cases and attempted murder. So, they're right below what the Attorney General handles.
It's a pretty tough job. Why do you want it? No, really. Why would you want it?
The county attorney position?
It's your profession, and that's how you climb the ladder. But,
oh, yeah.
But why?
Well, I've been a prosecutor for 11 years, a felony prosecutor for 11 years. I love what I do. I love being a prosecutor. I love advocating for victims. And we just haven't seen the leadership that I think we need in that office. It really flows from the top down, and the current county attorney has no experience as a felony prosecutor, and it shows in his ability to advocate for the office and just the ability to be a mentor to younger attorneys coming into the office, and really just his knowledge of what our office does. So I think it's important that the top prosecutor in the county be an actual experienced prosecutor, and that's one of the reasons why I'm running.
Well, I don't know the current county attorney very well. Dennis Hogan, this is coming up on the end of his first term, but because Ken and I have worked with the county commissioners on the executive committee for the county, we've talked with Dennis. He's come in, he's presented all sorts of budgets to us, and very nice guy. From what I understand, things are working very well. What specifically isn't working that you think isn't working? Actually,
to Dennis, they're working well. To me, they're not. We are so overwhelmed with work. We've lost, since Marguerite Wagling left 3 years ago to become a judge, between Bob Walsh's term, he finished out her term, and Dennis's 2-year term, we've lost 3 attorney positions due to budget cuts.
Right.
We've lost a victim advocate position. We lost a secretary position. And we're struggling. And, we have prosecutors who can't keep up. For example, I tell you that I've been working in Nashua for 9 years, and we have 6 full-time prosecutors in Nashua. We have a first assistant, which was my position for about 18 months before I was reassigned. And we have a part-time prosecutor. The public defender's office has, I think, about 18 full-time prosecutors in their Nashua office. We are just up against overwhelming odds. The trial I did today, I was sitting there alone at the prosecutor's table. The defendant had 2 attorneys with him from the public defender's office and himself. So that's what we see in practically every trial we do. We see the public defenders. we had actually a misdemeanor appeal, which we handle those as well in our office. We had one of our newer attorneys, she just became a lawyer this year. She was up against two very experienced prosecutors for a misdemeanor appeal.
Which is, why are they appealing a misdemeanor?
Right. Well, I mean, they have that right. I mean, that's their absolute right.
They do have that right.
But we see that in practically every trial we're doing, that we're pretty much, 2 to 1 in every single trial. And it starts to wear on a prosecutor. We not only have responsibilities as prosecutors in prosecuting crimes, obviously felony crimes, but also we have responsibility to victims through the Victims' Bill of Rights. And when victim advocates handle that. They do a great job of really taking care of our victims. But we lost a victim advocate position. So we're not assigning victim advocates to all of the cases that we really should.
How does that hurt?
Well, it hurts because we still have an obligation under the Victims' Bill of Rights to notify the victim and talk with them and explain to them the system. So it all falls back on the prosecutor. And when we're doing that, that means we're doing the job of a victim advocate because we don't have enough victim advocates to cover all the cases.
Are you going to, excuse me, let me just, are you going to ask or try to get more money from the legislator?
Well, I'm going to try, and I think, I know there's a budget cut, but the problem I think that people need to understand is we haven't seen a reduction in our caseload. We have more cases. We have more felony cases. And I'm certainly going to try, and that's, I think, what was lacking. And I speak from experience when I say I don't think the legislature just wants to cut without a good reason. Because when I went up to the Judiciary Committee and testified, they were, as you're probably aware, they were trying to close the courthouse in Nashua, denying access to justice for about 200,000 people and moving everybody up to Manchester. I went out and I spoke to the Judiciary Committee, and I know, I kind of played, I guess, the political game. I ran some numbers and said, okay, you might be saving $200,000 a year by closing this courthouse, but now it's going to cost our office $30,000 more a year because of the added expense of travel, the added expense of paying for victims to come up to Manchester. That's things that maybe you don't think about.
I was also involved to assist to keep it in the state city, and I'll tell you, the numbers just didn't work. Keeping it here was far better.
Right. But I also spoke about the personal impact on victims of crime, where we would have victims who would be essentially denied access to justice because they can't afford to drive up to Manchester. It sounds like such a simple thing, but
we heard people talking about that. It is very difficult for some people, especially if they're in the right and they want to get something taken care of, not getting to Manchester. Nashua's it's second largest city in the state of New Hampshire.
Right.
And we don't have a courthouse.
Right.
And we have a courthouse.
Right. And the legislature, the Judiciary Committee voted to kill the bill. So it was defeated. I think it was unanimous. So, and we had heard before that, we were hearing from court personnel, this is a done deal. We're moving, we were told we're moving up to Manchester. And it was, one of the biggest proponents was Judge Delanus, and she's a Nashua native, but the bill was killed. And
the bill was killed because of both Republicans and Democrats got together from the Nashua area and said, no.
Yeah.
We're losing jobs from the city, etc. But to see you up there and to work very, very hard, and I did see, when I did talk to you up there, to see you working that hard, this is really important. So your job is, you're kind of adding a little more to you don't have the job in a sense, and you're up there, making an effort to keep the courthouse and also for victims' rights, etc. This is very, very important work. It's like we don't hear it.
Well, that's true, but I want to get back to money for a second, because I think the people who are really, you're talking to two of the people who are responsible for the county budget.
Right. And
we voted, or the executive committee effectively cast a vote which set the county budget. So I think in that respect, we are to blame if there's a question of not having enough funding, given the fact that if we take...
Excuse me. I'm a Democrat.
It's not we?
No, it's not we.
Oh, all right. Well, we'll
talk
cross
about that
We'll
later.
talk about
All
that
right,
one later.
okay.
But if it's a question of funding, how would you do things differently, funding aside,
Right.
than the current county attorney? How would you make a difference in the way the office is run, and what would your goals be that might not be met right now?
Well, I'd essentially do what I've been doing for 11 years. I'd continue to prosecute cases. Now, my opponent believes that this is a political administrative position. I do not share that view. So right away, you're getting kind of two for the price of one. You're getting an administrator, because I do have administrative experience, and you're getting a prosecutor. So right away, because I think as county attorney, I could not sit back and watch the prosecutors who work for me be overburdened with cases without trying to do everything I could to ease that burden. So I'd be taking cases, and not just a couple of minor ones. I have so many cases right now with victims who I have developed a relationship with. I would most likely keep those cases, particularly the ones that are kind of far ahead in the process, and like I said, the victims are working with me and they've developed a relationship. That's very important to a victim, that continuity. But right away, like I said, you get two for the price of one. You have an administrator and a prosecutor. That's one thing I would do differently.
But would they hire another person?
They would hire, yeah. So if I became
so in
county
other words,
attorney,
you're like the extra. So they get an extra, yeah.
right.
That
And Dennis doesn't have the know-how. So when something happens, he can't step in and take over and have that experience. I would keep training. I've been training police departments for years, since I was practically a brand new prosecutor, conducting trainings with police department. That's something Dennis doesn't do. Getting out there and educating the public. I'm on the board of directors of the Granite State Children's Alliance, which oversees all the child advocacy centers in the state. I'm also the chair of the Outreach and Education Committee. I get out there and do outreach. I went to the Milford Pumpkin Festival and just to kind of get word out about the organization and promote child safety. I plan on doing that as county attorney because the ultimate goal is crime prevention. I don't see Dennis doing any of that. But I think the important thing is that I bring that experience.
Use his last name because the signs will be out there. Is Dennis who?
Dennis Hogan.
Dennis Hogan, because
Right.
the signs will be out there saying Dennis. Okay,
Right,
so it's
right.
Dennis Hogan.
Right.
Okay.
And, just the simple things. We had a person go out on family leave, and she was also part of this initiative, the SART program for sexual assault. It's sexual assault response team for victims of rape. And there was a training scheduled. It all came about very quickly for her. There was a training scheduled with a number of other members. I was able to step in and conduct that training because I've been prosecuting rapes for years. That's something Dennis can't do because he does not have the know-how. So just little things like that come from the experience of being a felony prosecutor. Dennis doesn't have that.
How does Dennis Hogan treat you? Is this a competitive? It's competitive. I mean, is he treating you different? I mean, he is your boss.
Right. No, we're polite to each other in the office. We don't bring the campaign into the office, or I don't bring the campaign into the office. He is polite to me. We don't really see each other a lot. He's up in the Manchester office most of the time.
Okay,
So.
and because we were talking about money, can you see any way in your office? Well, first of all, you being the county attorney and also a lawyer and doing cases, you
Right.
will have to hire someone else. So that's one way. Not only they will save money, but can you see any ways that the money has been wasted?
We're pretty much down to the bare bones. I mean, and I tell you that because you know what? We have a water bubbler in our office. I pay for that out of my own pocket. I put it on my credit card. I mean, we don't have any luxuries in the county attorney's office at all. We did get a brand new courthouse up in Manchester, but I can tell you when I became first assistant, the furniture that they gave me, I think it was one of those return desks that was held together. I think it was about 50 years old, and it was held together, I really think, by one bolt. I went out and bought all my own furniture, so I'd have, I was the first assistant. I wanted to have at least a pretty nice office that, but I paid for that myself. So we're not living in the lap of luxury. We're down to the bare bones. But how to get money is grants. I mean, we lost 2 grants under Bob Walsh. So
What grants?
federal grants to prevent gun violence and drug prosecutor.
Can you get them back?
Well, I'm certainly going to try. I've been researching it, and there's grants out there. They're hard to get, but if you can demonstrate a need, then certainly, there is a need, certainly in Nashua and Manchester for those types of prosecutors. So.
I'm struck by something. I mean, we haven't talked before. We just met really tonight for the first time. But listening to you and what little I know about your background, highly skilled, very competent, somebody who could go out into the private sector and make mid-six figures somewhere. And here,
think so.
and here, I mean, the county attorney is compensated okay, but nobody's going to get rich.
Right.
Why are you still doing this? You've been doing this for 11 years. I mean, my Lord, my daughter, I was talking with her tonight. She said, "Oh, you're going to interview the county attorney. Is that like Law and Order?" And we talked a little bit about who was playing whom. But why? I mean, you could go out with your knowledge and skills. You could make a bundle of money in the private sector. Why are you still here?
That's not what I'm in this for. I'm not in it for the paycheck. I am a true victim advocate. I love what I do, and it is a calling to be a prosecutor, as well as a public defender, because they don't make a lot of money either. You truly believe in what you do, and I truly believe in what I do. I wouldn't have it any other way, and I probably could go out and make a lot more money, but my soul wouldn't be in it, and I have to go home and look at my kids too.
David,
so.
I think we have somebody here. It's going to be pretty important. What do you think?
Well, I think that this is a tremendously important race, and given the fact that I've got an R on my T-shirt under here,
what does that got to do with that?
Well, no, I'm going to say that I'm very impressed with the candidate.
Well, the position of county attorney isn't about politics. When somebody calls 911, they don't say, "Please send a Republican police officer." I've never had a victim ask me what political party I am in, and I certainly don't ask victims. I'm sorry, I can't prosecute this for you. You're a Republican. Certainly not. It's not about politics, and this race, this position certainly isn't. And a lot of people don't even understand what the position is, and when they find out, everybody asks me, "Why is that an elected position?"
Well, it is an elective position in many jurisdictions.
It is.
I know. Certainly in the.
We are coming up to the end of the half hour.
We are.
That's right.
Good heavens, this is just shot right by.
Shot right by. But I want to make sure that.
Here we go.
Please say something. There's a camera up there, or wait a minute, right here. I'm sure they'll give you a camera right there.
Okay.
Wherever the red light is.
And.
Yes, go ahead.
We're over here. The red. Oh, there. Now the red light is changed.
There we go. The red light's over there. Well, I am Patricia LaFrance. I'm running for Hillsborough County Attorney. I would appreciate your vote. I've been a felony prosecutor for 11 years, and I've been fighting for victims for those 11 years. And this position is not about political party. It's about the most experienced prosecutor for the job, and I am that person. So again, Patricia LaFrance for Hillsborough County Attorney. Thank you.
Well, I think I like that.
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Good for you. And of course, thank you, Patricia. And the election will be November 6th. And at least in Nashua, the polls are open from 6 in the morning until 8 at night. I'm not sure about the towns outside.
I'll vote for you twice.
As they say, early and often. Oh, can't say that.
No.
We have an officer of the court here.
Right.
Say goodbye, David.
Goodbye, David.
Goodbye, Kenny.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye now.